Hey guys, today I already have my makeup done because I'm going to be talking about something entirely different. Something else that I'm really into. Not that you should get into it. I'm not advocating for this at all. Not at all. Not even recommending it. But I like to tattoo myself. I do hand poke tattoos on myself. I don't have a tattoo machine. I just have tattoo needles. I tattoo myself. And I'm going to do a tattoo tour and just point out and talk a little bit about the tattoos I have on my left arm, some of which are covered right now because it's cold, because it's winter. So, if you're interested in hearing a little bit about my collection of tattoos on my left arm, half of which are stick and poke that I did myself, and the other half are extremely professionally done by extremely talented artists that absolutely don't deserve to have their work next to mine. But alas, it is my arm. So here we are. It's kind of a unique combination. So if that's what you're interested in, stay tuned because that's what we're talking about today. Okay, I moved my sleeve so you could see. The first two tattoos that I'm going to talk about, it's hard to see this one because it's so big. This is the biggest one on my arm. This is my favorite one on my arm. She goes all the way up to the top of my shoulder, and that's her hair. I mean, you can see, but she has a long name. I wrote it down. I call her the eternal flame triumphing over death, because her hair is like a flame. Death is the skull. Laurels represent victory. And the moon, of course, is sacred femininity, so the eternal triumph. The sacred feminine, I think, is a really good thing to represent the triumph over death because, obviously, women give birth to children, the future, the triumph eternally over death. Yeah. So this one was done at the tattoo convention in Detroit by an Electric Sheena. She's really cool. You should look her up on Instagram. I'll put her name in the description box underneath, but Electric Sheena, you should look her up on Instagram. This one's red. This is something that she had already drawn up, and she had in her notebook, and I was walking around the tattoo convention, and I saw it, and I was like, and I wasn't even planning on getting a tattoo. I didn't have any money on me, and I was like, I need that. So I ran around the building, which takes forever if you've ever done it, but to find an ATM machine, then I found an ATM machine, took out all my money, and got it. So, and that went so well that I got her to do another one, which is this one on the inside of my arm. Yeah, look at my hairy armpits, kitten pits. Watch out. This is the Hand of Glory. If you've read Harry Potter, you would know about the Hand of Glory. In Diagon Alley, Draco Malfoy is caught trying to steal it or replace it. I can't quite remember. But the Hand of Glory is, legend has it, is the hand of a man who was hung, cut off before he was buried. This hand will illuminate things only for the person holding it. So if you place a candle in this hand that you've removed freshly from the hanged man, you know, you can sneak around with light that only you will see, and it won't give you away to anyone else. And yeah, it's kind of hand in my armpit. Kind of a funny thing. Lady on my arm. Yeah. This is another one by Electric Sheena. She does a great job. So both of these. That's the top half of the arm. So far. So far. I'll get more as I get more money, but I'm hella broke. I put my sleeve back on because it's cold and nobody wants to look at my ugly bony shoulders anyway. Not even me. Especially not me. I've seen enough of my bony ass self. Anyway. This little guy is where we're going next. If you can see him, he's quite light. No black, no gray. Just color. He's even got like white highlights. You probably can't see it on the camera, but it shows up really nicely in my white skin. This is probably the third tattoo I ever got in my entire life. And when I got this, I had high, high hopes of getting a photorealistic sleeve of all bugs and animals. That's not how life goes, honey bunny. That's not how life goes. But I still love my worm. It is a worm. It's an earthworm. People ask me all the time if it's a cinnamon bun. I'm like, do I look like a cinnamon bun bitch to you? It is an earthworm. The reason I wanted an earthworm is because they're blind and wiggling, and they have 9 hearts, and they don't have to see anything. they just wiggle through life, and like they are the source of so much life. Like without earthworms continuously tilling our soil and worms just wiggling around and spreading that moisture and like the minerals and like aerating the earth, we wouldn't have plants, we wouldn't have food, we wouldn't have life. Like these blind, mindless little creatures are so important to our entire ecosystem, but they have no idea and they don't care. And one of the, I think the cutest things about worms is that they know when to mate because it rains, and when it rains they know which direction is up, so they all wiggle up in the rain. And when I was really little, I was homeschooled, so I spent a lot of time at home. Obviously, I like literally did not leave my house for over a decade. That's a story for another day. But I used to get really worried when it rained and all the worms came out and were on the pavement. And I would pick them up. I would spend like hours picking up all the worms and setting them back in the flower beds because I didn't want them to dry out. Because I just thought they were like the softest, cutest things. Like, I just thought worms were really nice when I was little. And I still do. I think they're great creatures. Anyway, that was longer than it needed to be. I forgot where I was going. Okay, I got kind of derailed with the worm thing. So now we're going to start back, like, on my hand. Because that actually is probably one of the things people are always most interested in hearing about is hand tattoos. Not because they care about my hand tattoos, but because they want their own hand tattoos. And they look at mine and they're like, tell me about this. Tell me about your life with hand tattoos. How much do they hurt? Who did them? I have notes because I'm so nervous doing this video. My heart is like pounding out of my chest. I'm nervous like I'm talking in front of people, but there's no one there yet, but you will be there. I thought this would help me with my social anxiety, but this is giving me like a whole new kind of social anxiety. So anyway, let me check my notes. Okay, so my notes aren't very helpful. Let's talk about my finger tattoos. These triangles, they're green right now. I just hit them with green. Half that's probably gonna fall out. Like the next time you see these, they're gonna be splotchy blue-green because there's blue underneath. Yeah, these ones, these little circles, they're actually little eyeballs. When I put my knuckles together facing this way, the letters are on my right hand and the eyes are on my left hand. It says nihilist. You can make fun of me for that if you want. Go for it. No shame. I'm not going to explain this one. This is a poor decision. Not because I don't like it. I like this tattoo. But the struggle with this is that when I go through like the drive-thru or something, people see all these little symbols on my fingers and they're like, what does it mean? And then I'm like, nihilist, and like, you don't want to try and explain why it says nihilist on your knuckles when you're in the McDonald's drive-thru. So these ones I started filling in orange and yellow to look like flames. I'm probably going to redo my whole hands myself, to be honest. So I filled these in yellow and orange to look like flames because like further down here on my wrist I've got flames coming up around this tombstone shape, and let me turn the other way. On this side of my wrist I have a match. So I'd say the match is like Firestarter. You know that 90s song? We all know it. But and the flames, that's catching fire. Oddly enough, unintentional coincidence, Notre Dame burning down. I thought that was super sad, and I tattooed all the flames on my hand after that happened. Pardon me, I think I'm getting cold. But I had the match way before that. I tattooed the match on my wrist when I first started hanging out with my boyfriend, Alex. But yeah, match, flames, turning these into flames. They don't hurt that bad, honestly. Finger tattoos hurt, but it's not bad enough to stop you from getting them. So if that, don't let that deter you. They don't hold up very well. So if you're gonna go to a tattoo shop and have someone do it, they're gonna charge you them highway robbery prices. They're gonna be like $200, do your knuckles, and then you're gonna have them heal, and you're gonna have to go back and you're gonna have to pay them to touch them up again or whatever. But I do them myself, so I can do them as many times as I want. Anyway, the rest of my finger tattoos. On my index finger, this says gold, but the G is kind of fading. G-O-L-D, pointy letters. I tattooed gold on the inside of my finger because it was like my Midas touch. You know, King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold, so I tattooed gold. Midas finger. But oddly enough, it turned into like a different thing because the G keeps fading and the back of these letters keep fading. I kept, for a while, I was like touching it up regularly. But then I had this like realization. I was like, oh, nothing gold can stay, Alexis. Like, nothing gold can stay, Alexis. So, like, I tattooed gold on the inside of my finger, like a Midas touch, but, like, even gold is temporary. It's like my finger tattoo is trying to tell me something. So I stopped touching it up. Because clearly, fruitless effort. And then I've got this one. This is a symbol for Mercury on the inside of my finger. I'm not going to go into the spiel about Mercury, but it means a lot to me. Okay, back where we left off. So the inside of my wrist, this part, it's hard to see. These letters are, they look like an X. I mean, I did this myself, so my idea of what looks good is not the same as what everybody else thinks looks good. So I'm just, whatever, here it is. NTB, no turning back, it's in a tombstone. You know, once you're dead, no turning back. And underneath it says more beyond, which is one of my favorites because that's what it used to say on the edge of the map before they discovered America. More beyond, like they knew there was something else. And then underneath that is ever onward, because you always have to keep going forward. Oh my god, I can't get over how much worse it looks in the viewfinder than it does in, like, real life. I do think a lot about putting yellow behind all these letters. I wanted them to look like an X, like abstract. I mean, it's really interesting seeing this in the viewfinder. Anyway, moving on. I basically put that there because, you know, that's about yours. Now turning back. Ever onward. There's always more beyond. Just put that right there. So if you look at it and have some dark thoughts, motivational. Tombstone. You know, I'll come back to that. Anyway, it's taking a turn. One of the reasons I made this T so prominent and these two crosses I put on the side is because when Christ was crucified on Calvary, he was crucified with two other people. I'm not going to go into that because I know how people feel about Christianity these days. That's cool. You're welcome to hate on that as well. I actually sometimes like enjoy the hate because it's like an interesting perspective on myself that like sometimes I hadn't thought of. So like I'm always down to check myself. So team effort here. But yeah, Calgary. And that's part of why I added the flames to this, actually, back to Notre Dame. My parents took me to Paris a lot when I was younger, and my parents really love Notre Dame. And we've been there a lot, and I've spent a lot of time in Notre Dame, and we have lots of pictures and drawings, and I've spent a lot of time in Notre Dame with my family, and it was really good time. So when I saw it burning, it didn't affect me so much because it was a church or because it was Notre Dame, but to me, it was like seeing, you know, a place of worship that I shared with my family that was a very positive experience, that was something that was very cared for, and how quickly how quickly an accident can take something away from you, even if you've been protecting it and caring for it for generations. You know, how quickly the Lord can take it back, really. Anyway, moving on, because I'm sure no one likes hearing about that part. Back to the other side of my wrist, we got this dagger. He doesn't have a lot of meaning. He was originally a Friday the 13th tattoo that I was like, yeah, this is badass, I'm going to get it. And then I worked him into some other tattoos. I added the moon, and then I added the match at the same time, because I had to retouch this anyway, so I like retouched this and I had extra colors, so I just kept going. And then this thumb one is my birthday tattoo to my knuckles, you know, just in case I forget. Also, I have a really cool birthday. It's my lucky numbers, and I'm not telling you what it is, so maybe you caught it, maybe you didn't. And I guess the last couple will come back inside the arm. For this little guy, my little fish skeleton, he doesn't really have a lot of meaning either. He's a cute little dead fish. He's inside of a snake body. Which leads us to our next tattoo. A two-headed snake. He's inside the snake, so I guess the snake ate him. So there's that. But, yeah, I like the snake. The snake is two-headed because when you cut off one head, the other head will still bite. And I think that's a really good metaphor for me and my family. My family really loves me, and I really love them. And I just feel like as long as I have them, I can't truly fail at anything, and no one can really hurt me, because we are like the two-headed snake. Like, though we are separate, we are still one entity, and though you may cut off one of our heads, the other will still strike. So, it's symbolic of my family, and the fact that we're very intelligent and feisty, fighty people. So I really like that. And then between the two snakes' heads on my wrist is one I actually just did a couple days ago. It's still a little scaly, but you probably can't see it. It's 3-leaf clover because, well, you know, the luck of the Irish. But it's a 3-leaf clover, not a 4-leaf clover, because I'm not about being special or being the only one. I'm not actually about that life at all. I really like the 3-leaf clover because there's so many of them. So many of them. And they're dense and beautiful and luscious and vibrant, and they attract bees, clovers, and honey. Wonderful things come of the 3-leaf clovers that are all the same, because they together are a force. And 4-leaf clovers are cool and all, and they're special and whatever, but tell me how much luck your 4-leaf clover brings you in the comments below. Me, personally, I'd rather be the 3-leaf clover with my 3-leaf clover friends. And yeah, this is a hard video to do because I have to keep like motivating myself to keep going. I keep like falling in little mind holes thinking about my tattoos. This one I think is probably the last one on this arm. And I also just did this a couple days ago. I tend to go in spurts, I think, for a long, long time. And then in the winter I do all my tattoos because I can't leave the house. These are more Laurel Leaves, but I did them in really nice red brown. They match the ones on my shoulder, but I put them there to kind of fill that transition space. I really like how they fit my hand. I like how they flex with my hand. I'll probably color them in at a later date, and I'm sure I'll add more of them. The main reason I put them there is because I love them. They're beautiful. I want to add them to like literally every tattoo. Like, I'm gonna have so many eyeballs and so many leaves. There's some repeating themes in my tattoos. You'll see them later, but I'm gonna have so many of them one day. But yeah, so Laurel Leaves, red brown. I needed to break up this blue-green color palette because I'm not like a super blue-green person. I'm more of like a warm tone person. But like I wanted blue-green for the contrast because remember, I'm doing these all myself. So there's a different thought process. Like the snake, I did the basis of it in like one sitting, really fleshed it out, and then I came back like a year later almost because I'm so freaking lazy and added like the blue details. I really should be carrying his scale pattern across his whole back, but I got distracted and added a fish. But I layer them slowly over time, so not derailed again. Where am I going with this? What's missing? Remember what I forgot? The star of the show. The palm tattoo. The one that everyone always wants to know about. Here he is. I can't believe I thought that mine were the last ones. No. This one. Actually, it's funny because there are tattoos that I did on my palm that it's kind of covering. You can see there used to be a moon here. This point used to go up. But this was done by Nathan Mold. Nathan Mold. He's a really talented artist. His work is beautiful. Honestly, this is probably going to be the only tattoo I ever get from him because he doesn't give a shit about me. Electric Sheena, she's a very personable artist. Nathan Mold is also personable, but you have to have fresh, clean skin. He always wants clean skin, like a whole clean arm or a whole clean leg. And I had to talk him into tattooing over my existing tattoos. I mean, I guess there's always the other hand. I might, you know, if I see him again, maybe I get him to do this one. But anyway, I saw this in one of his notebooks and was like, holy, yeah, I need that. I'm going to have to get me that. And he is really great at palm tattoos. He nails them every time. They heal great. They look great. I mean, mine didn't necessarily heal as good. I mean, it doesn't look like the ones on his Instagram, but it's so good. Like, it's so good for a palm tattoo. And he did it in like 45 minutes flat. This is one of those things, like, I paid someone to do this not because I couldn't have done it myself, but because I don't freaking want to. Like, it was so painful. Like, the best memory from this experience was a photo my friend took of the opposite hand, where it was like clenching this fist so tight and this arm was so contorted and my fingers were like pink and blue. Like, I was so in agony. That was the photo. But yeah, this really hurts. Your palm really hurts. Like, really hurts. Especially when it's like this solid. Like, I don't know if you can see it. Probably on the side you can see it. But he did this whole thing with stippling and a liner needle. He just took a liner needle and just, even the totally black parts, they're all just dots. He just stabs it into your palm. Because that way, if some fall out and some bleed out and some fade, the inconsistencies just make a uniform texture when you layer the dots. It's a really great technique. I mean, it's what I do with stick and poke. I do that all over the place. That's how I get such bright colors with stick and poke all the time. It's just layers and layers and layers and layers of dots. I love doing stick and poke for exactly that reason. He uses a rotary machine. I would probably consider using a rotary machine. I mean, if I was in a legitimate shop setting only, of course, obviously. I think stick and poke is home friendly. I think it's safe in the bloodborne pathogen sense. So, anyway. Yeah, this hurt brutally, but it's amazing. It's my most popular tattoo. Everyone asks about it. What do they want to know? They want to know if it hurts. It hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. It hurt more than my stomach tattoo, and my stomach tattoo is on the soft part of my stomach and on my rib cage, and that hurt. That hurt. This? So much more. The other tattoo that really hurt, I have a snake tattoo wrapping around a surgical scar I have on my back, a 16-inch surgical scar, and I have metal rods underneath, and my spine is fused. It's all like a big lump. And I have a snake tattoo over top of that, and that hurt so bad also. I cried for my hand tattoo. I cried for my snake tattoo. No shame in crying. I'm not really sure how to finish this up, but yeah. That's the tattoos on my left arm. I did half of them myself. Half of them are done by really, 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 really talented professionals that don't deserve to be on the same arm as me. Don't tattoo yourself. But if you do, think of me. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you liked it, comment below. Tell me what you want to hear about next. I'm nervous. I suck at making these. They make me nervous. I need all the positive encouragement I can get if this is what you want to see. See you guys later.